Now to that ABC News exclusive. Bill Cosby responding to questions about allegations of sexual assault for the very first time. The actor and comedian is in Alabama, where he is spreading his message of education, preparing to speak with students later today. ABC's Lindsay Davis caught up with him there.
Few shows defined an era like The Cosby Show, a groundbreaking sitcom that redefined black family life on TV. But behind its wholesome image, controversy was brewing. What seemed unbreakable came crashing down, not because of a single scene, but one that became symbolic of something far darker. The infamous scene has since sparked endless debates. Is it really a particular scene or a show tragedy? For sure, it's more than single TV drama. It's a cultural turning point. So, what exactly happened, and why did it end the show's fate? Let's break down the moment that changed everything. End of an era. If you grew up in the 80s or 90s, chances are The Cosby Show was a staple on your TV screen. With its wholesome family values, laugh-out-loud moments, and Bill Cosby's iconic sweaters, it was more than just a sitcom, it was a cultural moment. The Huxtables were America's ideal family. Educated, loving, funny, and black, at a time when diverse representation on television was still limited. For years, the show was praised for breaking stereotypes and raising the bar for what a black family on primetime could look like. So, what actually happened? How did a show that once defined feel-good TV end up pulled from networks altogether? Spoiler alert, it wasn't a scene in the show that got it canceled. It was real life that brought it crashing down. For decades, Bill Cosby was seen as America's dad. But behind the scenes, a much darker story was brewing. Allegations of sexual assault had been floating around for years, but many were dismissed or ignored until around 2014, when the floodgates opened. Dozens of women came forward, accusing Cosby of giving a substance unknowingly and assaulting them over the course of several decades. It was chilling, heartbreaking, and deeply at odds with the man who had become a symbol of moral authority on TV. As public outrage grew, networks couldn't ignore it anymore. Though reruns of The Cosby Show had continued airing on channels like TV Land and Bounce TV for years after the original series ended in 1992, things changed fast after the allegations went mainstream. In 2015, right after Cosby was charged with aggravated indecent assault, networks began yanking the show from their lineups. Sponsors backed away, streaming platforms quietly removed episodes, and even DVD sales slowed to a crawl. It wasn't just about avoiding controversy. It was about not wanting to profit off a man now seen as a predator. It's worth saying, this move sparked a lot of debate. Some fans felt like the entire cast and legacy of the show were being punished for one man's actions. After all, the actors, writers, and crew had nothing to do with Cosby's crimes, and the show itself still holds cultural significance. Others argued that leaving the show on air was a slap in the face to the victims. For many, the damage was simply too deep to separate the art from the artist. And just like that, The Cosby Show went from beloved classic to cultural hot potato. It didn't have a final farewell or a last airing with any sort of tribute. It just kind of disappeared. One day, it was in syndication all over the place, and the next, it was gone. Its legacy clouded by the crimes of the man who once made America laugh. So no, there wasn't one scandalous or inappropriate scene that ended the show's run. The infamous scene, if you want to call it that, played out in courtrooms and headlines, not on the NBC primetime slot. Let's talk about a tragic exit of a character. A bad farewell. Lisa Bonet's departure from The Cosby Show and the controversy around it has been a topic of discussion for years. Bonet, who played the free-spirited Denise Huxtable, was a fan favorite. She brought a cool, relatable energy to the show that stood out. But behind the scenes, things weren't always smooth, especially when it came to her relationship with Bill Cosby. Tensions reportedly flared after Bonet starred in the 1987 film Angel Heart, which featured mature and explicit content. The role was a big departure from her squeaky clean image on The Cosby Show, and it didn't sit well with Cosby. Cosby, who had a very specific vision for the show's family-friendly tone, was said to have disapproved of Bonet's decision to take on such a bold role. He reportedly felt that her appearance in Angel Heart clashed with the wholesome image he worked hard to maintain for the show and its characters. As a result, Bonet's character, Denise, was gradually written out of The Cosby Show. Not long after, she was shifted over to the spin-off A Different World, which was originally created as a vehicle for her. But even that didn't last. Bonet was dropped from the show after the first season. Fans and critics alike didn't hold back. Many saw the situation as an example of Cosby exerting too much control over his cast, especially the women. Bonet's departure was viewed by some as a result of censorship and a lack of artistic freedom. Instead of supporting her efforts to branch out and grow as an actress, the move seemed to punish her for stepping outside the box. The controversy opened up larger conversations about power dynamics on set and the limits placed on women, particularly when they tried to take creative risks. Bonet's exit wasn't just about a role in a movie, it symbolized deeper issues around control, image, and freedom in the entertainment industry. And with everything that's come out about Cosby since, people have revisited these events with a new perspective, seeing Bonet not just as an actress pushed out, but as someone who was navigating a difficult and often unfair environment. On another controversy, instead of focusing on poverty, dysfunction, or crime, common themes in depictions of Black life at the time, the show centered on the Huxtables, an upper-middle-class Black family with 2 successful parents and bright, funny kids. It was refreshing, inspiring, and hugely influential, until the issue on racism. Even with all its success and cultural significance, the show has faced criticism for what it didn't do. It rarely tackled the pressing racial and political issues of its time. Critics and scholars have long pointed out that The Cosby Show seemed to exist in a kind of bubble, one where racism, police brutality, and systemic inequality were barely mentioned. At a time when these issues were very much part of the national conversation, especially in Black communities, the show mostly stayed silent. For a series that had the power to reach millions and shift narratives, this silence felt like a missed opportunity to some. Sure, it shattered many harmful stereotypes, showing Black excellence in full color. But by avoiding the harder truths of Black life in America, some felt it presented a version of reality that wasn't fully honest. It's important to recognize that Bill Cosby, the show's creator and star, had a clear vision. He wanted to offer a counter-narrative to the often negative portrayals of Black people in media. He believed in the power of positive representation and thought showing a successful Black family on primetime TV was revolutionary in and of itself. And, in many ways, it was. The Huxtables inspired countless viewers, Black and white, and proved that a show centering Black characters could be universally relatable and wildly successful. But in choosing to focus almost entirely on aspirational storytelling, the show distanced itself from the realities many Black Americans faced daily. This disconnect sparked a range of reactions. Some viewers appreciated the escape the show provided, a break from heavy news cycles and painful realities. For them, seeing the Huxtables succeed and love each other openly was enough. Others, however, felt the show could have gone further. They wished it had used its platform to engage with the issues that made the Huxtables' success so remarkable and so rare in the first place. Topics like racial profiling, redlining, and the school-to-prison pipeline were absent, even though they were shaping the lives of real black families across the country. In hindsight, it's a complex legacy. The Cosby Show did a lot of good. It opened doors, shifted perceptions, and made history. But its reluctance to dive into the social and political struggles of Black Americans leaves a noticeable gap in its otherwise powerful narrative. Whether that was a strategic choice or a missed opportunity depends on who you ask. Either way, the conversation it sparked about representation, responsibility, and realism in media is still very much alive today. A peek at its peak and its unstoppable popularity. There was a time when Thursday nights in America meant one thing: The Cosby Show. This sitcom didn't just land on TV, it exploded into the national consciousness. For nearly a decade, it ruled television ratings, redefined family sitcoms, and gave the world a new lens through which to see African American family life. What made The Cosby Show so different? And why did it become so massively popular? To really get it, you have to understand the landscape of television at the time and how this one show turned the industry on its head. Before The Cosby Show, Black families on television were often portrayed through a narrow, often negative lens. Many sitcoms were built around struggle, crime, or poverty. And even though shows like Good Times and Sanford and Son had their moments, they often leaned on stereotypes. Then along came the Huxtables. Cliff, the goofy but wise obstetrician dad. Claire, the elegant and brilliant lawyer mom. And their 5 kids, each with their own unique personalities, from the strong-willed Denise to the adorable Rudy. Here was a Black family that was upper middle class, highly educated, and deeply loving, but also hilariously human. They weren't a fantasy, but they were aspirational. It was refreshing, and more than that, it was revolutionary. From its very first season, the show started gaining momentum. But by the second season, it wasn't just popular. It was #1 in the country. The Cosby Show topped the Nielsen ratings for 5 consecutive years, from 1985 to 1990, pulling in tens of millions of viewers every week. That's not just a hit, that's a cultural takeover. People would literally plan their Thursday nights around watching the Huxtables. And in an age before DVRs or streaming services, that meant families gathered around the living room TV to watch together in real time. It became a weekly ritual, a bonding moment, and a shared experience across America. One of the most amazing things about the show's popularity was how wide its appeal was. It didn't just speak to Black audiences, though it certainly meant a lot to them. White audiences, Latino families, immigrants, everyone tuned in. The humor was universal, the life lessons were familiar, and the storytelling was strong enough to transcend race or class. It was family life, with all its ups and downs, seen through a lens of humor, compassion, and warmth. And Bill Cosby's comedic timing, mixed with his clear love for the role of a caring father, made Cliff Huxtable one of the most beloved TV dads of all time. Every episode had a rhythm, a mix of laughter, heart, and often a gentle message. But it never felt preachy. The lessons came naturally through the stories. Whether it was Theo trying to understand the value of money, or Vanessa dealing with peer pressure, or Rudy navigating childhood with sass and charm, there was always something to take away. But just as importantly, there was always something to laugh at. The writing was sharp, full of real-life wit, and the family chemistry was electric. It didn't matter whether you were 8 or 80, you could find something to enjoy in every episode. The show also had an undeniable cultural influence. It wasn't just a sitcom, it was a blueprint. Young Black kids saw people who looked like them going to college, succeeding in careers, and having positive, supportive home lives. It sent a powerful message: you can be anything. At the same time, white viewers were being introduced to a version of Black life that broke through tired cliches and offered something richer, more nuanced. In its own way, The Cosby Show did more for race relations than many speeches or policies. It normalized equality and excellence through something as simple as family sitcoms. Its popularity also extended beyond just TV ratings. The fashion of the show was iconic. Think Cliff's wild sweaters or Denise's artsy bohemian looks. The jazz and R and music in the intros, especially those ever-changing opening credits each season, gave the show a cool, timeless vibe. And let's not forget the unforgettable musical moments, like the family lip-sync performance of Ray Charles's "Nighttime is the Right Time," or when Stevie Wonder guest-starred. The Cosby Show was a cultural event, and it shaped everything from comedy writing to how networks thought about diversity on screen. And it had a huge influence on the television industry itself. It basically saved NBC, which had been struggling at the time. Because of its success, NBC built a powerhouse Thursday night lineup that would go on to include shows like Cheers, Family Ties, and eventually Friends and Seinfeld. In fact, The Cosby Show made NBC the #1 network in the country for several years. Without the Huxtables, that kind of TV dominance may never have happened. It also opened the door for other shows with strong Black leads and casts. A Different World, which was a spin-off focusing on Denise's life at a historically Black college, became a hit in its own right and introduced viewers to a whole new set of characters. Later shows like The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Family Matters, and even Blackish owe a lot to the path that The Cosby Show carved out. It proved that audiences were not only ready for diversity on screen, they were hungry for it. Now, it would be dishonest to talk about The Cosby Show without acknowledging how the legacy has been complicated by the very real and very serious accusations against Bill Cosby in recent years. It's left a cloud over the show and made it hard for many fans to revisit it without feeling conflicted. But if we look at the show itself, separate from the actors' later actions, it's clear that during its peak, it was something truly special. It gave us something we hadn't seen before, and it did it with grace, humor, and heart. It was more than just a television hit. It was a cultural shift. It redefined what a family sitcom could look like and feel like. It gave representation to people who had rarely seen themselves portrayed positively in mainstream media. It brought families together, changed lives, and made people laugh week after week. At its peak, it wasn't just a popular show. It was America's favorite family. And for a long time, it held a unique place in the hearts and living rooms of millions, especially because of the characters that resonated to its fans and audience. Dr. Huxtable. Dr. Heathcliff, Cliff Huxtable, played by Bill Cosby, was the heart and soul of the show. As the father of the Huxtable family, Cliff stood out as a warm, humorous, and wise character who always had a clever way of teaching life lessons. He worked as an obstetrician, which added a layer of respectability and stability to his role as the family's provider. But what really made him special was how down-to-earth and relatable he was. Even though he was a successful doctor, he never acted like he was above anyone. Instead, he brought laughter, patience, and a unique sense of humor into his home, often turning serious parenting moments into comedic gold. What made Cliff so beloved was his playful personality. Whether he was goofing around with his kids, pulling a prank on his wife Clare, or dancing in the living room, he always brought a light-hearted energy to the show. But behind all the jokes was a strong father figure who truly cared about raising good, respectful, and responsible kids. He was deeply involved in their lives, always offering advice, sometimes whether they wanted it or not, and guiding them through challenges with both wisdom and wit. From dealing with teenage drama to offering support during tough times, Cliff's parenting style felt both funny and heartfelt. Cliff's relationship with his wife Claire was another key part of the show's charm. The two had a strong partnership built on mutual respect, love, and a shared sense of humor. They parented as a team, and their chemistry made the family feel real and balanced. Together, they managed the chaos of raising 5 very different children, each with their own quirks and challenges. Despite the ups and downs, Cliff always managed to keep things in perspective, often delivering a funny story or a surprise gesture that reminded everyone what really mattered: family. In many ways, Cliff Huxtable became a cultural icon. He represented a version of fatherhood that was nurturing, funny, and deeply involved. For many viewers, he wasn't just a character on TV. He was a model for how to be a present and loving parent. While Bill Cosby's legacy has since become controversial due to real-life issues, the character of Cliff Huxtable remains a memorable part of television history, representing a moment when TV dads were funny, flawed, but always full of heart. The wife. Clare Huxtable, portrayed by Phylicia Rashad, is one of the most memorable and groundbreaking characters in television history. From the moment she appeared on screen, Clare stood out, not just as a wife and mother, but as a powerful, intelligent, and confident woman in her own right. She wasn't the typical stay-at-home mom character that audiences were used to seeing at the time. Instead, she was a sharp, accomplished attorney who balanced her demanding career with her role as the matriarch of a large and lively household. What made her character so compelling was the ease and elegance with which she handled both responsibilities. Clare could switch from preparing a legal argument to managing a house full of energetic children without missing a beat. And she always did it with style and grace. Clare's presence on The Cosby Show offered a refreshing and much-needed change to the usual portrayals of women, particularly black women, on television during the 80s. She wasn't defined solely by her relationship to her husband or children, though she was clearly a loving wife and devoted mother. Instead, Clare had her own identity, her own goals, and a strong sense of independence. She spoke her mind, stood up for what she believed in, and never backed down from a challenge, whether it was in a courtroom or at the dinner table. She was also deeply principled and didn't hesitate to call out nonsense when she saw it, often doing so with a razor-sharp wit that made her all the more impressive. What's especially striking about Clare Huxtable's character is the balance she struck between warmth and authority. She could be nurturing and gentle, offering wise advice and emotional support to her children, but she could also be firm and no-nonsense when it was needed. She expected a lot from her kids, not just good grades or good behavior, but respect, discipline, and a strong sense of self-worth. And because she modeled those values herself, her expectations felt justified. Clare's character showed that you didn't have to sacrifice being kind in order to be strong, and you didn't have to downplay your intelligence or success to be likable or feminine. Phylicia Rashad's portrayal of Clare Huxtable played a huge role in bringing all of these qualities to life. Rashad brought a natural confidence and poise to the role, making Clare feel both real and aspirational. Her performance wasn't just about delivering lines, it was about embodying a character who challenged the limitations placed on women, especially black women, in media. Rashad made Clare a symbol of possibility, a woman who could be a brilliant lawyer, a loving mother, a supportive partner, and a stylish, witty individual all at the same time. Her work on the show earned her widespread acclaim, and for good reason. She helped redefine what it meant to be a woman on television. Sandra Huxtable Thibodeau portrayed by actress Sabrina LeBeouf, is the eldest child of the Huxtable family. As the firstborn daughter of Cliff and Clare Huxtable, Sandra represents a strong, intelligent, and ambitious young woman navigating the challenges of adulthood. Although she was not featured in the first season of the show, her character was introduced in the second season to reflect the academic and professional aspirations of the Huxtable children, particularly those of a successful African-American family. Sandra is a graduate of Princeton University, which establishes her as an accomplished and dedicated individual. Her Ivy League education serves as a point of pride for the Huxtable family, highlighting the values of education and hard work that the show consistently promotes. After graduating, Sandra initially considers various career paths before ultimately deciding to pursue law. This career choice adds depth to her character and mirrors the ambitions of many young adults who strive to find purpose and fulfillment in their professional lives. Throughout the series, Sandra's personal life becomes an essential part of her character development. She marries Elvin Thibodeau, a medical student, and their relationship often provides comic relief as well as social commentary. Elvin's traditional views on gender roles often clash with Sandra's independent and modern mindset, prompting discussions about equality within marriage. Their dynamic allows the show to explore the complexities of romantic relationships and the evolving roles of men and women in a changing society. As the series progresses, Sandra and Elvin become parents to twins, further expanding her storyline. Her journey through motherhood brings new challenges and responsibilities, reflecting the multifaceted nature of adult life. From juggling career aspirations to managing family dynamics, Sandra's character offers a relatable and realistic portrayal of a woman striving to balance it all. Denise Huxtable Kendall. Denise Huxtable Kendall, portrayed by Lisa Bonet, is the second daughter, and one of the most memorable characters due to her free-spirited nature and artistic sensibilities. From the beginning, Denise stands out with her eclectic fashion sense and bohemian personality, often challenging conventional expectations and embracing individuality. Throughout the series, Denise's journey reflects the complexities of young adulthood. Her transition to college life was marked by moments of self-discovery and rebellion, themes that resonated with many viewers. This phase of her life became the foundation for the spin-off series A Different World, which followed Denise's experiences at a historically black college. However, her time in college was short-lived, as her storyline took a dramatic turn with a sudden marriage to Martin Kendall, a Navy officer, and her new role as a stepmother to his daughter, Olivia. Denise's evolution as a character showcased a broader narrative about personal growth, identity, and the challenges of balancing independence with responsibility. Through Lisa Bonet's portrayal, Denise became a symbol of youthful exploration and the search for meaning beyond societal expectations. Theo. Theo Huxtable, portrayed by Malcolm Jamal Warner, is the only son in the family. As a character, Theo represented the quintessential teenage boy, sometimes rebellious, often playful, but always lovable. Warner brought a unique charm to the role, helping to shape Theo into a relatable and enduring figure for audiences. Throughout the series, Theo's journey reflected many of the typical challenges faced by adolescents. He struggled with academics, often finding school difficult and discouraging. However, these struggles were not simply played for laughs. Instead, they were approached with both humor and sincerity, allowing the show to deliver important life lessons in an engaging and accessible way. Theo's experiences with school and self-confidence helped viewers, particularly younger ones, feel seen and understood. Theo became more than just a character. He became a symbol of growth, resilience, and the power of family support. Through Malcolm Jamal Warner's heartfelt performance, Theo's storylines resonated with audiences and left a lasting legacy in television history. Vanessa Huxtable. Vanessa Huxtable, portrayed by Tempest Bledsoe, is the fourth child. Throughout the series, Vanessa is depicted as a bright and intelligent young woman who frequently finds herself navigating the typical struggles of adolescence. Her character is particularly known for her sharp wit and sarcasm, traits that often emerge as she tries to assert her independence within a large and dynamic household. As Vanessa matures, audiences witness her growth through both humorous missteps and moments of genuine self-discovery, making her a relatable and memorable figure in the show's portrayal of teenage life. The heart of the Huxtable household. Rudy Huxtable, played by Kezia Knight Pulliam, emerged as one of the most beloved characters of the series. As the youngest child of the Huxtable family in the show's early seasons, Rudy brought a unique blend of innocence, sass, and comedic timing that endeared her to audiences of all ages. Pulliam's performance helped shape Rudy into more than just the cute kid trope, making her a pivotal part of the show's family dynamic and emotional core. From the outset, Rudy's role was essential in balancing the themes of family, education, and morality that the show was known for. Her character frequently found herself at the center of humorous misunderstandings, whether it was struggling with her homework, navigating playground politics, or misunderstanding adult conversations. These scenarios not only served as comic relief, but also allowed the show to explore deeper life lessons from a child's perspective. Rudy's interactions with her siblings, especially her teasing relationship with her brother Theo, and her admiration for her older sisters, added depth to her character and helped portray a realistic and relatable family unit. Kezia Knight. Pulliam's portrayal brought a natural charm and confidence that stood out, especially considering her young age when the series began. She was only 5 years old when she joined the cast, yet she quickly became a fan favorite. Her ability to deliver witty lines with impeccable timing and authentic emotion was impressive and often stole the spotlight, even in scenes with veteran actors like Bill Cosby and Felicia Rashad. Rudy wasn't just adorable, she was sharp, expressive, and full of personality, qualities that helped define the show's lighthearted but thoughtful tone. As The Cosby Show progressed and new characters were introduced, including Olivia Kendall, played by Raven Simonet, Rudy's role shifted slightly. While she was no longer the baby of the family, her evolution from a precocious child to a young adolescent was handled with care. This growth allowed for new storylines that reflected the challenges of growing up, such as dealing with peer pressure, self-esteem, and the desire for independence. Have you watched the show yet? Let us read what your thoughts in the section below and subscribe to the channel for other uploads.